Hey, welcome to Phoenix Kitchen. Today we're making jalapeno bacon cheddar beef sausages. Here's how it happened. As always, we're going to start by measuring out the ingredients that we need for our seasoning mix and the jalapenos, the bacon, and the cheddar. We start with our salt, of course, our curing salt, pepper, paprika, garlic, and a few other spices. The recipe is in the description down below. We're going to get these jalapenos diced. We're going to remove the seeds because we're not looking for a spicy sausage. We're looking for that jalapeno flavor. In addition to the diced jalapenos, we'll be adding some jalapeno powder so that we can control the exact amount of heat that we're getting. Once we get everything measured and ready to go, we'll get our meat diced up and mix it in. There you see a really good example of why we measure each ingredient in a separate container and then put it into our final container. Because if you happen to get too much, if it's all mixed together already, how do you pull it out? Right? You do them individually. That way you can correct if you need to, and then mix everything together for your final product. We'll get these all mixed up and then ready to go. Now for these jalapenos, we're going with about a 1/4 inch dice on these, and that is to match our cheese size. I'm using hi-temp cheese that I ordered as a product for making sausages specifically. And I'm just kind of matching these up so that the bite size is going to be about the same. You'll notice in other videos, such as the jalapeno blackberry pork sausage, we used larger chunks of the jalapenos because we want it to match the bite size of our blackberries, just to keep things kind of consistent through the sausage. All right, we're going to be making a 3-pound batch today, and I need to go ahead and get the meat into the freezer so that it's ready for the grinder. So we're going to go ahead and get that measured out. I had 2.2 pounds of lean meat that had been cut from a brisket from trimmings. These are actually fat trimmings from the same brisket, but I keep those separated so that we can get our mix right. We're going for an approximate 80-20 blend. It's not going to be perfect, but we'll go ahead and get this brought up to a 3-pound batch for an approximate 80-20. Get that in the freezer. While that meat is in the freezer firming up for the grinder, we're going to go ahead and get our hog casings soaking. Those need to soak, obviously, to remove the salt and to loosen up and become more elastic so that they can stretch. So we'll go ahead and get those into our lukewarm water, and we're going to let them soak for about a half hour so that they'll be pliable and ready to go. Now, with the beef in the freezer, getting ready for the grinder, and all of the ingredients measured out, and our casings soaking in the water so that they're ready to go, it's the perfect time to have a cup of coffee. And while that coffee's brewing, you think to yourself, bacon. Because the smell of coffee always reminds me that it's time for bacon. And that's when you realize you didn't measure out any bacon to go into your jalapeno bacon cheddar beef sausages. So we're going to go ahead and get that cut up real quickly off of some of our slab bacon. It's going to be about 6 ounces. We're going to cut that not into little diced pieces. We're going to cut these into some longer strips, about 1 inch long. just because we really want to notice the bacon. Bacon is going to be the star of the show here, really setting this sausage off from a regular, just jalapeno cheddar sausage. So we're going to cut big long strips and put in there. All right, so we got the bacon chopped up. Didn't take long. Went ahead and had that cup of coffee, and as you can tell, we sipped the coffee because that bowl sat in the freezer for about 45 minutes versus the 30 that we were going to, but that's okay. It's going to be ready to go and amazing. Get our grinder set up, grind all of our meat, and then we'll start blending in the spices and ingredients. All right, we've got everything all ground up, and it's time to add those spices. We're going to go ahead and just pour those in and give it a really good, thorough mixing. We want those spices to really hit everywhere, every piece of meat. That's going to require pushing, squeezing, flipping. You could do this in your stand mixer with a paddle attachment. You just have to be careful not to over mix so that you don't start emulsifying and turn it into a hot dog, because this is definitely meant to be a sausage. Although, let's face it, it would be a delicious hot dog too. However, we're going for hand mixing today, keeping that nice texture. We'll get this all mixed in. We'll add the jalapenos, the cheese, the bacon, and our heavy cream, which is our liquid for this sausage. And then we'll get it stuffed into the stuffer. All right, we've got these stuffer all set up and ready to go. We're going to take a little of our water that we've been soaking our casings in and use that to lubricate the extruder. That will help those casings to slide on more easily. And we're going to go ahead and slowly crank until we get meat all the way to the tip of the extruder. This will help us to fill the casings without filling them full of air to start with. Now, once we've done that, we're going to grab a casing. We're going to find the end. We need to open that end up. Then we're going to dip it down into our water. These have been soaking in water, and if you've never done sausages before with natural casings, these are packed in salt to preserve them. And what we're doing is rinsing off that salt, reintroducing moisture so they become nice and pliable so that they can be stuffed without breaking. However, there's salt that also gets on the inside, and to make sure you're not ending up with a huge bite of salt in with your sausage, we're simply going to run some water through them. You can see videos on YouTube of some folks who will actually put these in the sink and put the end of the casing on the faucet and run water through them for a long time. That works, but it's really not necessary. It doesn't take a large amount of water. There's not a lot of salt inside, but there can be some salt inside. So all we're doing is just rinsing that through to make sure that we've gotten all of that salt out. Once we've gotten all of that water through and we've got the salt out, then we're simply going to load this thing onto the extruder. We're going to take it all the way up and leave maybe 1.5 to 2 inches to tie a knot. I used to go, an inch or so, like you see some of the experienced folks doing on videos, but as I was learning to make them, I realized these things are slippery and they're actually kind of hard to tie in a knot. So I don't worry so much about wasting them anymore. They're not that expensive. I just go ahead and leave about 2 inches off. That makes it really simple for me to make a knot. Once we get that knot in the end to close it off, grab the scissors and just snip the excess so that it's not in your way. And then we're ready to load up our sausages. Now we've got 2 different ways we can do this. We can stuff and twist individual links as we go, or we can simply stuff the entire casing, leaving just a bit of room so that we can twist afterwards using a pinch method, where we'll pinch between the sausages and make our twist points. That's the method that we're going to use here. I find that it works the best. You'll notice here I'm going slowly. This is actually my second casing with this, and I will freely admit, messed up the first one, thinking, hey, I need to leave a little extra room for my pinching. I don't want to blow out any sausages, and I simply didn't put enough sausage in. And I ended up having to really work to form the sausages, moving that around within the casings. They're going to taste delicious, but that first batch is going to be ugly when it comes to presentation. So that'll definitely be something that will just not really show anybody. These are going to be beautiful, though. You can see as they're coming out, they're nice and full. We're going to leave a couple of inches at the end so that we're able to move some sausage around to create those pinch points. And then we'll do the pinch and twist method and tie off the last sausage. Now for my pinch and twist method, what you'll see that I'm doing here, I actually took one of our hot dog buns when the tray was clean, put it on the tray. Our hot dog buns are about 4 inches long, and I made marks with a Sharpie at 6 inches long, because I want the sausage to hang just a bit off of each end of the bun, right? We really want to make sure we're full bun length with these things. And those marks are on the tray, and that's what I'm using to measure there to know where to pinch and twist. As you get one end over to your first mark, you line everything up with the second one. Then as I pinch, I'm also squeezing and pushing toward the end that's open, because that's where I want the excess meat to go, is toward that end. If I squeeze and push it back the other way, I'm going to end up popping that casing, because that sausage is going to be too full. So that's what we're doing with it. We're pinching, pushing toward that end, and then we twist. And as we do each one, we're simply going to alternate. So if you do your first one twisting away from you, make your second one twisting towards you, and so forth down the line. When you get to your very last one, you want to tie that knot just as close as you can to the end of that sausage to keep from having any air in there. And you'll end up with beautiful, plump, full sausages. All right, so we've got everything on a wire rack, which is how they're going to sit in the fridge overnight. This is going to allow the curing salt to do its job because we did not use a cure accelerator, so we need 12 hours for that to do its job. And it's also going to allow those casings to dry up and really form around the sausage. What I'm doing here, that first batch that went through, like I told you, you can see there they are ugly. I did not get enough sausage in to the tubing, and I'm having to poke out some air pockets. There are products out there, they're actually for making sausages that are made for pricking sausages. If you want to spend $7 on Amazon to get one, that's great. They're really cute, but you know what? A toothpick works just as well, and you don't spend $7. So that's what we're using here, just to go through and poke out all of those little air holes in that first batch. All right, so here we are getting ready to go into the fridge. I love how you can look in and see the bacon and the cheese and the jalapenos and all the spices. When they come out the next day, you can see that the casings have dried up and shrunk around the sausages. we're just simply going to take that tray and set it right on the grates. That'll help to actually keep the sausages clean. They won't be touching any of the old grate. Once we hit 150 internal smoking those, we're going to bring them and put them in an ice bath. And once we cut into them, you can see here they have all those beautiful ingredients. And let's see, juicy test. Oh yeah. Let's face it, when you go 80-20 with brisket meat and you add bacon to the mix and then you smoke it, it's gonna be juicy. You see there the big chunks of bacon, the big chunks of jalapenos, the cheddar cheese, all the spices. These sausages are absolutely amazing. Hope you'll try them. We're giving away a 5-piece cast iron lodge cookware set when we hit 1,000 subscribers. All you have to do is like a video and subscribe to the channel to be entered in the giveaway.